Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico with the Creativity Cave, and I have 3 fabulous cards today. Each of them uses a different method for coloring, and so I'm going to show you each of them. They're so easy and beautiful. So let me start with the simplest, which is this one. We're going to use the Perennial Birthday stamp set, which I love because it's got these fun, bold flowers with some great sentiments that go along with the stamp set. So to put this together, it's pretty simple. Now, all the dimensions, colors, and all of that good stuff is on my blog. Since we've got lots to get through today, I want to make sure that we hit all of this. And first of all, I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday in black Memento ink on just a little scrap strip of cardstock that I've got here. And then this is just kind of a leftover piece of cardstock from when I trim my cardstock out. So there we go. Next, I'm going to position, oh, look at that. We'll turn that over. Make sure my hand is not going to smudge that again. And then what I'm going to do is take this strip and kind of use it as a guide so I know exactly where I'm going to position the rest of my stamping. Okay, and then I'm going to take and stamp the flower sentiment up here so that I can see plenty of the image. And then well down here, again, so I can see everything really nicely. And then we'll add in a little bit more. We've got this pretty little flowery thing. Okay, so I'll just put that right about there. And another one right about there. All right, so that looks pretty good. I'm very happy with the placement. We'll cover this up so as to not create any more problems. I'm going to set these aside. I'm going to let this just take a second to dry. I'll fold my card base in half. This is Peekaboo Peach. Now, the reason I just flipped it around is because I noticed there's some ink on here, but I can cover that up with what I'm stamping right now. So that's why I flipped it around a little bit. Okay, I've also got this, I've also taken a couple of the images from the stamp set to create a little bit of a background on here. I'm just going to stamp a couple of these in Peekaboo Peach along with the leaves, like so, in the corners, just to kind of tie everything together. And then we'll put the leaves like that. Okay, that looks good. Now let's do the coloring method because this is the part you're gonna love. So I've just got some sponge daubers, and I'm going to take and just sponge a little color on each of these. So I'm just gonna tap that on and then literally just kind of swirl a little ink over the top, and that's my coloring method. Anybody can do that, right? All right, I'll continue on with Melon Mambo on my big flower. So bright and happy. And then Peekaboo Peach, kind of over these littler flowers, like so. And finally, we need a little green, so we're going to pull out Pear Pizzazz. You could also do Old Olive, but I thought pear was a little better. Okay. So I'm just literally sponging the color on. All right. So that was pretty easy, right? There's so many different things you can do with this technique, but I think it's kind of fun. I'm going to pop this up onto my card and place it just like this on here, and then we'll adhere this to our layer of Melon Mambo and then onto our Peekaboo Peach card that we already prepped. So this is our first card. Really simple, I think. Lots of different stamps would work for this. You definitely want a simple kind of outliney image. Not a solid image would not work nearly as well for this. So, all right. So there we go. There's number 1. 2, I've gone ahead and pre-embossed this butterfly. I stamped it in Versamark ink on a piece of watercolor paper and then embossed it in white powder. Clear will work just fine as well. I'm then going to take my aqua painters and do some watercoloring. I have to tell you, this is probably my favorite method of coloring, is using aqua painters. I always like to have a little rag sitting next to me so that I can wipe off my brush clear. I'm going to use kind of a fun color combination. I'll start with a little Blushing Bride, and then I'm going to add to it some rich razzleberry and some elegant eggplant for a pinky purple combination of colors. Now, if you like watercoloring and want to learn a little bit more, I have a fantastic online class. It's actually a series. It's called Watercolor School. And we go through several lessons, 6 weeks worth of lessons, to learn all kinds of fantastic techniques around watercoloring. And the response I've gotten from that class has been phenomenal. People have really learned a lot. And watercoloring can look intimidating, but I really think it's easy. So much fun to do. So I've started by coloring these center sections with Blushing Bride. I'm going to then move on to my rich razzleberry. And you can see I squeezed the ink pad to the lid, and that's where I am picking up my color. It's a beautiful color. So here I'm just going to run my rich razzleberry on either side. I'm creating a very symmetrical looking butterfly. And then on these 2, actually 3 sections, I'm going to kind of do some rich razzleberry here, here, and here. And likewise here, here, and here. And then I'm going to complete the rest of these 3 sections with the eggplant. So that's kind of fun. This gives me a nice kind of, so now I'll start the eggplant over here, and then I'll kind of blend the 2 areas together. So this gives me a nice melding of these 2 colors. Now the remainder of the sections of my butterfly, I'm going to simply do an eggplant. All right, so I'm gonna just kind of blend those colors together like so. Now it helps to kind of clean your brush when you're doing this, and then sometimes I come back and add a little bit more of my razzleberry just to make sure I do get a nice blending effect. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, such pretty colors. I have to say, pinks and purples, hot pink I like, but pink and purple like this is just so not my normal color scheme. So I really like how this is turning out, because it's a little out of the box for me and it's really pretty. Okay, so this is looking nice. Then, now one thing I notice when people watercolor is they tend to not put a lot of color down, and so they get really soft muted colors, and I love a nice bright vivid watercolor, so don't be afraid, put that color down. If it's too light, chances are you've got more water flowing through your brush than you need, so brush off that excess water and then come back and add more. Now I've cleaned my brush off, and now this time I'm just going to do the eggplant sections. And what you notice when you watercolor too is you start with a lot of color, and then as you're working it kind of dissipates, and when you're trying to do shading, that's wonderful because you can see it's easy to shade. If you're having trouble shading, it's usually all a matter of controlling how much paint, or in this color ink, in this case ink, you have to your water ratio. So you want to definitely play with that. And isn't this beautiful? It's really coming together nicely. I'm going to flip that around and do the same on the other side with the remaining sections. And then we'll put the rest of this card together. Actually, we have one more step to do. I'm sorry. got ahead of myself because this was looking so pretty. I just love it. So one thing too about watercolor paper is that makes a huge difference in the appearance of your coloring. So if you are wondering why your paper doesn't look like this and you're using like ultra smooth white or some other white cardstock, it needs to be watercolor paper. This paper is designed to hold the water, the color, and to blend. In fact, it's very forgiving, so you can kind of come back and change things as you want. I'm just going to add a little bit more color to really punch this up, make it nice and vibrant. Then I think we are in good shape. Okay, next, what I'm going to do is change colors. And I don't know if you can see the difference between these two, but to me, this one really pops off the page. And the reason is because I've taken some soft sky ink and I've colored around the center of my butterfly. And let me show you what I mean by that. You definitely want to make sure you have a nice clean brush before you start this part. And I'm just going to kind of start coloring. I've laid some color down and then I'll blend it out till you can't really tell where the color starts and the paper begins. And again, I'll do the same thing down here. I'm gonna just put my color down and then wash it out around the edge of my butterfly. And doing this little bit here really makes it stand out. I love the look of this. Now, of course, the embossing this image has made it really easy to color because you basically just kind of stay in the lines and you're good to go. Isn't that pretty? All right, now to finish this, I'm using, by the way, the butterfly is from the stamp set Beautiful Day. So I'm going to use the sentiment that comes in the stamp set and do a little bit of stamping, or just stamp the sentiment, sorry. Oops, that's not the right one though. That is. I've got a scrap of white cardstock that I'm going to stamp this in rich raspberry ink on here, like so. That looks good. I'll take my triple banner punch and punch the ends. And what I love about this sentiment is it's really easy to just put across the center of my butterfly, and it makes a really nice effect on the butterfly. I think it looks great across there. And then if you had any mishaps, it covers them up, which is also nice. Now, this is pretty dry, so I'm going to put a little bit of Fast Fuse across the center. This is actually to adhere my silver metallic thread, which I've got here. So I'll take and wrap this around 3 of my fingers a few times, and then 4 of my fingers a few times. That gives me some different sized loops. And then I'm going to tack that down, making sure that the ends are going to touch my Fast Fuse. I've kind of got a weird end up here, so we'll see if we can get it back down. That looks pretty good. And then we'll pop my sentiment right up over the top of that little metallic area. And that just kind of gives me a fun little shimmer to my card, which I like. Okay. All we need to do to finish up this card, we're going to close our ink pads up quick. Then we're going to adhere this to a layer of Elegant Eggplant and then pop it up onto a rich raspberry card base. So really simple coloring. There are, of course, many different color combinations that this would be gorgeous with, so give it a try. I kind of tried to pick some colors that were different. Each card was a little bit different. So that's sort of where my color scheme came from. Now my next card that I'm going to show you is going to use my second favorite coloring method, which I've been doing a lot of lately, and that is Stampin' Blends. Those are our alcohol-based markers. They're so easy to use. And I'm going to feature some printed paper that just came out as our second edition of celebration items, or release. That's the word I'm looking for. This is this gorgeous foil paper. It's called Springtime Foil. So gorgeous. And what I'm going to do here is take and color these, like I said, with our alcohol markers. So I'm going to use 2 combo packs, the Daffodil Delight and the Pool Party. And then I also have the lighter of the 2 Bermuda Bay colors or markers. And then I've got, in case I need it, my color lifter. So to start out, the paper is a little bit glossy. So what I like to do is take my lightest color and kind of go over the whole flower that I'm coloring, which is lovely to do. That kind of gives me a base that I can sort of build from. I'm going to next put down the next darkest color and just kind of add some coloring. And then we'll do one color further. What I like is the center of my flowers to be nice and dark, and then out at the tips they get nice and light. Okay. And if you have kind of some streaky lines, what I always like to do is come back with the shade lighter and then go over to blend and see the difference there. It's really nice. So pretty, but I think it helps to kind of have that base color down for the colors to really move nicely on this kind of funky paper. And then, of course, we'll come back and add just a little bit more of our lightest color to really get all that blended just perfectly. And it almost takes on a watercolory look when you're doing that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I love it. So I think that's really gorgeous. Now, I'm also going, you know what? I don't know why I said I needed Daffodil Delight, because it's actually Old Olive. Hold on, let me grab Old Olive. That's funny. I really honestly don't know what I was thinking when I started this. All right. Much the same on Old Olive, we're going to, I like to go, again, start with my light color and just go all over the edge, or I should say the whole flower. And then we're going to come back and add some of the darker shade to really highlight these beautiful leaves. And then we'll come back and blend it again with that lighter shade. So, 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 so pretty. So we're kind of just building the colors here. And I just can't say enough of how gorgeous this paper is. You get 3 sheets of each design, and I think there's 4 designs. So 12 sheets total. Isn't that beautiful? Now I'm not going to color the rest of the flowers because you get the idea of how they look. But at the end, this is what you get. I just stamped You Make Me Smile. This is from the Colorful Seasons stamp set on just a scrap, the stamp set, on just a scrap of white, and added it with a little bow on the end. And then I'm going to adhere it to a layer of copper foil paper, which I have right here, and then onto a beautiful pool party card. And I just think these colors, the copper against the pool party, is gorgeous. And it makes such a beautiful card. Of course, You Make Me Smile is a wonderful sentiment to share with somebody, so it makes for a beautiful card. Okay. So there we go. And Again, this is what the final card looks like. So if you would like to get any of these projects so that you can make these beautiful cards yourself, please shop my online store. I would love to earn your business and be your demonstrator. Of course, I have a fantastic VIP rewards program for my customers, and I'd love to invite you to join us with that. All you need to do to become a member is to purchase through my online store. So all the links to both my blog post with the photos of these projects as well as the supplies are in the description of this video. Click on that description and you'll see all the details. Of course, while you're there, make sure you sign up for my newsletter and don't forget to click down here and subscribe to my blog. Thank you guys so much for stamping with me today. Come on back and see me again really soon. See you guys. Bye-bye.